Growing plants thousands of years ago, agriculture has been around for millions of years. Ants grew mushrooms long before how humans evolved as a species. In new research, the researchers suggest that this asteroid impact 66 million years ago could have altered ants in the farmers. Humans domesticated wild plants some 10,000 years ago and they have become farmers. But we were already far behind the ants that, as the researchers believe, they began to grow mushrooms shortly after the destruction of dinosaurs, about 66 million years ago. Asteroid impact caused global mass extinction, but also created ideal conditions for the development of mushrooms. The innovative ant seized the opportunity and began to grow mushrooms, creating evolutionary a partnership that became even more closely linked 27 million years ago, and it continues to this day. Scientists from the National Museum of Natural History, Washington, which is part of the Smithsonian Institution, analyzed the data genetic hundreds of species of fungi and ants to create detailed trees. Its rico-aesthetic analyses allowed to determine when ants for the first time they started growing mushrooms. The results and description of the work appeared in the journal Science. Humans have been growing plants for about 10,000 years. But it doesn't. We are the only species to do that. It is known that ants grow many species of mushrooms for personal use, and this compound takes various forms. And ants deal with agriculture and mushrooming much longer than existing people, said entomologist Ted Schultz, lead author of the paper. And we could probably learn something from the agricultural success of these ants in the last 66 million years, he added. Nearly 250 different species of ants grow mushrooms. Scientists they share them based on their crop strategies. Some, like Atini ants, endure to colonies that can count millions of individuals, leaves to meet needs. It's their crops. These are those that use the most advanced strategies. Mushrooms give back to the ants gonglety bulges at the ends, shreds that are happy to eat ants. Schultz spent 35 years studying evolutionary relationships between the ants and mushrooms. He has carried out over 30 expeditions to different places in Central and South America to observe this interaction live. He has grown numerous colonies of ants growing mushrooms in his laboratory. By the years, with his colleagues, collected thousands of genetic samples of ants and mushrooms. This collection proved crucial in new research to really detect patterns and reconstruct, as the link has evolved over time. Many samples of ants and varieties need the mushrooms they grow, Schultz said. A team of researchers used years of samples to genetic data sequencing for 475 different species of fungi, 288 cultivated by ants, and 276 different species of ants, of which 208 grown mushrooms. This is the largest genetic data set of ants grocers grow mushrooms ever accumulated. This allowed scientists to create phylogenetic trees, both groups. Comparison of wild species of fungi with their farmed relatives. It helped the researchers determine when ants began using certain mushrooms. Data have shown that ants and mushrooms are linked from 66 millions of years. It was then that the species of mushrooms and ants involved in its farming. Then a huge asteroid hit the Earth that killed the dinosaurs. This collision filled the atmosphere with dust that blocked the rays sunny and prevented photosynthesis for years. As a result, there was a mass extinction that vomited from the Earth's surface about 3/4 of all species, plants and animals. However, this disaster was a boon for mushrooms. The asteroid has created excellent conditions for fungi to develop. In abundance was then dead plant material littering the landscape. Mass extinction can be huge disasters for most organisms, but they can be positive for others as well. At the end of the Cretaceous, dinosaurs couldn't cope preferably, but the mushrooms were booming, Schultz said. Many mushrooms for which the good times came grew on decomposing parts of plants on the surface, as it caused them close contact with ants. In turn, these insects used the abundance of mushrooms and simply fed them. When life was reborn after the ants did not change their habits. New research also revealed that it took almost 40 ants millions of years to take your agricultural practices to the next level. About 27 millions of years ago, climate change has transformed the world's environment. Droughts turned the damp tropical forests into savannas. When the ants adapted their getting into these conditions, mushrooms with them. These were forced to change the wet environments in the dry areas. But ants taking mushrooms with you, they isolated them from their wild populations. Isolated mushrooms have become fully dependent on ants to survive in new conditions, which has set course for the agricultural system currently practiced by ants. Some species of ants completely domesticated their mushrooms, like people have done with most of our basic products that are now very different from his wild relatives. An example of such the fungus is Leucoagaricus gongylophorus, a species that ants they especially like it because of its highly nutritious fruits. Ants domesticated these mushrooms in the same way that people they domesticated crops, Schultz said. 27